K here, another week, another Dan K show, and another voyage for Lucas and Dan. This time our voyage takes us to beautiful Marlborough, Massachusetts for the Junior Bruin Shootout. It's always a great event, it's always a good time, and there's always great hockey talent. I just walked out of the scout room, Lucas. Droves of scouts. I would use the word droves. I'm seeing guys from all over, and it's going to be fun, right, Lucas?
Oh, absolutely.
I let him talk in the open. It's Dan K show time. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whenever you're watching, because the best thing about the Dan K show is it's available when you are ready for it. And you know what we're ready for here? Dan K's three things. The way we start every show, it's time for my three things. Thing number one, pal ain't too friendly. And not to say they're not wonderful to talk to, because I've had some great Twitter conversations with them this year, but they went 3-0 at the NCDC's Junior Bruin Shootout this weekend, dominating opponents, improving to 4-1-0 on the year. We're going to talk about them a little later, but first I got to get to my second thing. Thing number two, not through, we're not through it yet. Thing number two, the Rockets are firing on all cylinders. That NJ Rockets organization, Premier and Elite, both win an OT on the same day over the weekend. And then their NCDC squad just goes out and goes perfect on the weekend at the Junior Bruin Shootout. They go 3-0-0 as well. Pal and the Rockets, two teams who struggled last year, on fire to start the season this year. Thing number three. What's thing number three, Lucas? The number 600, my lucky number, and the number of followers we surpassed this week in just 2 days. We went from 500 to 600 in just 2 days, and Lucas, Mr. Kosa Yusuf said, "You're welcome," using the wonderful, what's the name of that movie? Man, I should know the name of this movie. Why don't I know it? Maui is who he used. Dwayne The Rock Johnson plays him. Moana. I love Moana. We should know our Disney movie titles by now. We're talking to a younger audience sometimes. 600 is my lucky number. Lucas has to give the parting words on today's broadcast, but before we can get the parting words, we have to get the starting words. And that's where we're starting, is with my things 1 and 2. Rockets, Pal, Lucas, just how good have these two teams looked to start the season?
Well, you know, they've looked, I think, almost as good as you'd expect these two teams to look. Any two teams in the NCDC. We've always talked about how competitive this division is from top to bottom, and additionally, we were fond of saying how this was going to be the year that the teams are going to break out.
Mm-hmm.
You have the NCDC, which started last year. First year, things got to shake out, right?
Yep.
Because some organizations might have had more or deeper development than other organizations, and when you try to put together that top tier team, a couple of false starts, but this year I think is the proof of the model, proof of the development. You've got these two teams who are just dominating. They're sweeping in showcases, they're winning games. Two teams who last year weren't as competitive as they would have hoped to be.
Yeah.
This year, I think, are as competitive as they expected to be.
And you want to talk about expecting to be competitive, expecting to be good. It's an expectation. The word expectation. They expect it, right? And they're doing it as an organization, top to bottom. You look at PAL. They've launched their PAL Junior Islanders podcast this year. They've had Alan Hahn on it, like we talked before. They've done things from top to bottom. They've kind of had a little shake-up in the coaching staff. They brought in some new player development guys. They've really put together the whole kit and caboodle, as they call it. You look at the Rockets, and this is a team bottom to top. That's how it worked. It didn't go top to bottom. There was no trickle down. There wasn't, hey, let's fill the top and just hope it works out with everybody else. It was a last year model of let's build the elite and premier, make them dominant, and the NCDC will eventually grow from it. They planted the seed, they grew a flower. But don't stop to smell the roses yet, boys and PAL and NJ, because guess what? We got a lot more farming to do before the harvest. It's a long season. But let's look at a man who's got a number of goals and assists that make it look like he's been playing for a long time this season. Michael Kallela, the right winger from PAL. 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points, 5 games. How ridiculous are those numbers?
You got to slow down.
Slow down.
Pace yourself. It's a long season. You have so many more games to play. You don't have to get it all done now. Jumping out to a start like that, it's again, I'm sure it's what these skaters want to be doing. These skaters all think that they can score, bunches and bunches of goals, and a lot of them want to score, and a lot of them can score. But you see numbers like that,
Yep.
It's the kind of thing where you just look at it and you go, what are they feeding this kid?
3 2-goal games. He has not played a game yet in the NCDC this year without putting up a point and a goal. Without putting up at least a goal in a game. He's had a 1-goal, 1-assist performance against SSK to start the year. Then he comes back the next day, 2 goals, no assists. Then he comes back this weekend at the Junior Bruins shootout. He goes 1-3-4, 2-0-2, 2-2-4 in 3 straight wins against IHC, Jersey, and SSK.
What else?
What else can this young man do? What else does he have to do to impress you folks at home? Nothing else for me. Now let's go to New Jersey Rockets. Their top point getter right now, Casey Satinella, a guy who we got to know well last year, left winger. This guy's large and in charge here, 2 goals, 4 assists, makes his own space on the ice, makes things happen. Him and Luke House, who is holding the house up right now. And then you look down the list a little bit, Tyler Glennon with 3 goals. Very good scoring balance with this team. How do you feel about a team like NJ? You look at Pal and NJ. Both of them seem to be teams that are going to score a bunch, and they're not afraid to give them up as well. They're going to try to outscore you. How do you feel about the more balanced version of that in New Jersey?
Well, I'm always a fan of defense. We know that, from many conversations on the show. But when I watch these two teams, sometimes it feels like ultra heavyweight boxing, where these guys are just standing there, just punching each other in the face, taking turns, swinging and hitting each other.
No blocking,
no
counters.
Blocking at all. I think defense is important, and I think that's also something that they will build as they move through the season, right? Because we've seen that scoring can sometimes be an individual effort. A guy who can take it tape to tape, end to end, and work his magic and get the puck in the net. But defense is a team-building exercise. So I think as we move through the season, these defenses will settle down. And I think in the case of the Rockets, you mentioned the top 4 point getters on that team. You have 2 98s, a 2000, and a 2001.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got a mix of age groups. You've got veterans. You've got younger guys. You've got a model in that organization that is going to be stable for many years to come because they're not top-loading. They're not bottom-loading when it comes to ages. They're not focused on just defense or just offense.
Yep.
If I'm the owner of an organization, I would rather see a balanced team built for longevity with a not so high plus-minus goal differential, something closer to even, than I would want to have a totally dominant team that's about to age out.
Exactly, and I mean, these two teams, they're fun to watch. Another team that was great to watch this weekend, the Connecticut Junior Rangers. I talked to Coach Henkel there, and there are some times where this team can be the best team you've seen play at this level ever for 20, 30-minute spans. There are some times where you scratch your head and you go, what are you thinking, boys? And I was talking to Jim about it. He said it's those early season growing pains, and he definitely, great coaches never accept good enough. This is a guy who got good enough. He got very good this weekend out of these guys. He's looking for that great. Do you think the Connecticut Junior Rangers have it in them to be, as Dan K said, hashtag Dan K bump, one of these title contenders this year?
I think so. I think everything we've seen so far points in that direction. Of course, the issue is we've only played 5 games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So definitely not enough data points for all you statisticians out there, all you sabermetrics guys. You know as well as I do, 5 games is not nearly enough to try to build any trends out of it. But I think it's a really good impression. It's a really good start to the season. And I think it's a kind of a window into things to come.
I like this team. I like Takato Cox, Colin Sline, Brad Ong. I really like the group they've put together in Connecticut. It's going to be a fun team to watch once they figure out the back end of things, They're a team that's used to having the back end figured out day one and working on some of the scoring and opening up the ice to make that happen. This year, the front end is great. The forward play is incredible. And there's nothing wrong with the back end being a little slower to start. These are guys getting used to each other, getting to know each other. Watch out for Connecticut as everything starts to click here. But we are going to start to click over to some plays of the week. I asked you on Twitter, the Dan K Show reached out to you. Did you see any plays of the week? Did you see any top plays? And if you did, let us know where they are. Lucas is going to get to work and throw up on the screen right now some of the top plays from the week.
We'll give it off for Sheehy. Up and missed the target. That was Bergman on the stick of Webster. Chipped up to Mace at center. He bobbled it. Shell finds Mace. Cutting in. Here comes Mace. Wrist shot. That's blocked by Carrasson. Side of the net trying to poke it home. Is it in? They score! Mace puts it home, and the Bandits have tied the game with 2:39 to go from an impossible... Brackett for the win. Brackett, game on his stick, scores, puts it 5 home, the Bandits win it in overtime. Jack Brackett, overtime winner.
Sorry, no, it's Wardle. Everett Wardle out of Hewlett, New York. Wardle skates on fast here, holds. Nifty little move to go to the backhand now. Forehand, diving shot, score! And that's all she wrote. 7 tries on the charm, and I gotta run down to ice level and go get Everett Wardle.
So how about those top plays, everybody? If you want to be a top play, did you get missed this week? You didn't have yours in here? Did you say, Dan, I totally made the play of the week. I made the best goal all year long, and the celly was even better. Guess what you got to do? You got to let us know. There's over 100 games a weekend here, and only 2 of us. And this guy does almost all the work, so you got to help us out, especially Lucas, so we can shoulder the load and get you highlighted for those scouts out there, for those coaches, and all those fans who watch the Dan K Show. Some great top plays there, but now let's go to a top game of the week here. I want to talk a little Midwest Premier action. How about Moose Ducks?
I mean, what a game that was.
Yep.
What a game that was all game, and then what a game that was in the final 2 minutes.
Oh, in the final 2 minutes here, Moose Ducks, the Ducks are up. They lose 5-4 on a late goal, a game winner from Mr. Harding there, Jacob Harding. Then we come back to Saturday. Ducks are up 3-1. Things are going in the Ducks' favor. They're flapping away. They're going for it. And then all of a sudden the chef comes into the room and he's ready to cook up some duck. And that chef was Jan Rukamp, who comes in, scores a goal, cuts the lead in half. Now, 2 minutes left in the game. 1:54 to be exact. Moose are down 3-2. You're a Ducks fan. You say, hold on tight, boys. We're fine. Just get in front of pucks. Sticks on the ice. Block the passing lanes. Don't allow a quick score to happen. 30 seconds later, goal. You got Harding and Houseworth connecting with Eric Malcarney, who needs no luck of the Irish to put this one home. Moose tied. Hashtag Antlers up. Not yet. Antlers tied. We go to our final goal, and it's Austin Stevens who gets found by Jensen and Kropp with 16 seconds on the clock. Now Antlers up. Ball game over. Antlers win. Hashtag Minnesota Moose. Moose, what a comeback. What a game. To come back from 2 goals down within the final 2 minutes is enough, right? But then to have the presence of mind not to stop and be happy with the point, guarantee the point, skate it out, we've got the pressure, we've got the momentum, let's hold it in the zone and play it safe. No, they go for that last goal and they fire it home. What a comeback. Just how tough is that to do?
It's extremely tough, because at that point in the game, it's all mental, right?
Yeah.
When you look at that 2 minutes and you know how many goals you're down, the average person is not going to say, oh, this is totally doable for us. And it's one of those things where I think one of my favorite ways to describe games like this is not that a team lost, but the Moose won.
Yeah.
The Moose reached in and grabbed that game from the jaws of defeat and pulled it out kicking and screaming.
And Moose don't even have hands, and they're not hunters, they're not carnivores. This Moose reached in and somehow grabbed this duck and got a win. What a victory. Grabbed it from the jaws of defeat, and the Moose, Antlers up again. Hashtag Antlers up, boys. Way to go out there in Minnesota. Keep it up. Dell's Ducks, they challenged them already. They said can't wait for November 30th. That's the next matchup between these two. We will be watching that. We will be watching it closely. But before we move on, I want to talk about one more Midwest Premier team. A team that has really had a good start and has gone under the radar. How about the Motor City Hockey Club out there in Detroit? Motor City Hockey Club 4-1-0 to start the season. They sweep the Cougars in Week 1, a team that absolutely had their number over the last few years. Sweep the Cougars in Weekend 1. Then they come out and take 2 or 3 from the Midwest Blackbirds, and they sit in first place with 8 points after 5 games. Motor City Hockey Club, how excited are you to see them playing this well early?
Well, they are motoring to the top of that spot, and I have a feeling, Dan, that they are going to be continuing in that spot. Because, again, you you want to talk about, like, it's early in the season, you're not really sure what's going on, but these are pretty dominant victories here. Talking about a sweep of a team like the Cougars taking 2 out of 3 there the next series, and it's great to see this team, like you said, who's had their number been had by a number of teams up until this point, start to turn it around and really start to win some hockey games in dominant fashion. I'm excited to see what's going to come out of this team.
And we've seen it coming. I've watched this Motor City squad here, and you know that they're going to put something good together. You know it's going to click. You know they're going to be there. And now I go to the stats. Kyle Banks leading the way for him. Kyle Banks has been money. We've seen this skater for the last few years here in the USPHL framework. Kyle Banks, 4 goals, 5 assists on the year. This year, 98 is having a year in his own right here. 2 power play assists. So when they get in the power play, he becomes a goal creator. When he gets on the ice in that short-handed situation or in the even strength, all of a sudden he becomes a goal scorer. Guy's got 2 game-winning goals this year. How good's Kyle Banks been?
Well, again, off to a great start. It's and at that point it's a presence of mind, right? So you're talking about like power play assists and game-winning goals.
Yep.
He's got goals. He's got assists. He just kind of puts himself on the ice wherever he's needed. At a certain point, you say to yourself, is this guy just lucky? Well, after enough times, when does luck become skill?
Exactly. You want to talk about the Polish connection here in Jason Reinbelski and Alek Porzandek. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Polacks from Michigan on every show here. As a Polish man myself who had to go with K as a last name, these guys have their last names well known in the Detroit area with how well they're playing. Alek Porzandek, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. He's got a power play goal this year. And you got Jason Reinbelski with 2 goals of his own. These two have been very strong for this team. There's depth in Motor City right now. I could see them being a real contender for the Midwest East.
Definitely. We're at the early point in the season. We're seeing a lot of great skill, a lot of great stats, a lot of individual effort, and yet the individuals are fitting into the teams. The one thing you don't think you'll see this early in the season is that team chemistry.
Yep.
But we're seeing the assists, we're seeing the passing, we're seeing this knowing where your guy's going to be before he gets there. Right? These are things that most teams don't develop until halfway into the season, and here we are highlighting some teams who are successful because they've got that team chemistry, they're already starting to gel.
Do you remember what next week is?
The week after this one?
It's Power Rankings week. We're going to have the Premier and Elite Power Rankings taking over the show next week. Dan K Show will be all Power Rankings all the time. We look down these Premier standings. I see the DME Swamp Rabbits who have gone 4-0 so far. I see the Metro Jets at 4-0. I see Skipjacks at 3-2-0 who told me you better not sleep on us at the last showcase we were just at here at the Junior Bruin Shootout. I see the New York Aviators 3-0, 21-6 goal differential here, dominating fashion. You see Motor City 4-1-0, Moose at 3-1-0, River Kings 3-1-0. I got New Hampshire Monarchs at 5-1. I got the Bruins and Kings both 3-0. I've got the Connecticut Nighthawks 4-0-1, and the Hampton Roads Whalers at 5-0. I have a lot of big-time teams that could be in this, but maybe we missed somebody there. Maybe there's somebody who should be high up in these Premier Power Rankings. Let us know, and if you're an Elite fan as well, let us know who should be in the Elite Top 10 Power Rankings, and tune in next week for them. And now, Lucas, we move to 2 last things here. We move to the EHF Selects game that we got to do. I want to talk about that really quick. We're going to do a quick segment on that here, and then we're going to go to our empty nets. So let's keep going. Let's power right through. Let's truck into it. Why not? You feel like that's good? I feel like that's good. I feel like we just keep going with it. We got a chance to see the Boston Junior Eagles take on the GBL Bruins. Just how fun was it to watch the EHF Selects level all weekend long?
And we finally got to see some EHF action live and on site. It's one thing to watch it on Hockey TV. It is another thing entirely to be in the rink and see what's going on. And it's another thing on top of that to get to do commentary for it.
Yep.
I was thoroughly impressed by what I saw on the ice. That EHF, the teams that we saw out there, great passing ability,
Yep.
great teamwork, great defensiveness. I was watching plays that these kids were putting together that reminded me of professional teams.
Yep.
Passing to spots on the ice where they know their guys are going to be. Where normally you'd say, like, I said, well, who'd that kid pass to? I didn't see anybody. And then all of a sudden, the guy is there.
Scouts. Connor Hasley, GBL Bruins. Brian Carabas. Matthew Toporowski. Reese Farrell. Grady Friedman. Just to name a few. How about Kyle Penny all over the place? This guy, young. This guy is a year 2000, and he is big. We have a handful of guys on these two teams. The Boston Junior Eagles were absolutely unstoppable. I'll get over to them in a second, but just talk through, Lucas, the roster of this GBL Bruins team, and especially Brian Carabas, and then the goaltender here, the netminder Connor Hasley. Just how good were Carabas and Hasley?
Oh, they were great. Hasley in particular, I got a chance to watch how he kind of carried himself, not just when he was making plays, but off the puck as well.
Yep.
Did a great job. He's making stops, he's throwing the body out there, but he's also playing intelligently. Carabas, same way. You're seeing some of these guys, Carabas, Friedman, Farrell, all stick out in my mind because we're operating off of this almost like a first impression type of thing.
Yep.
So that's what we've got, and we've got what we saw on the ice and what has kind of stuck with us, and those four, just absolutely rock solid in their position.
And you go to the other side and you see John Farinacci for the Boston Junior Eagles with 7 goals and 3 assists in league play this year for a 6-0-1 Eagles team. They've had the GBL number. Think about how good GBL is. This Junior Eagles team's gotten to them 3 times this year, and I know that the group there in GBL want to get a win from these guys here this year at some point. They are really pushing for it. Connor Joyce was incredible to watch. And then you look at the netminder, Derek Malahy. No luck of the Irish needed there. This young man puts up a shutout in a very tough matchup with GBL, carries his team behind in the net to a victory. A team that put up a bevy of shots on goal in GBL could not find a way past Malahy. He was just too good. Derek Malahy in net. Talk about the angles this young man took, the places he put himself in, putting himself in places to succeed, and coming up high in the net when needed to pressure shooters.
Yeah, Malahy spent most of the game as your stay in the crease type of goaltender, right?
Yep.
But later in the game, as he started getting pressured a little bit more, he started getting more aggressive, right? Because you can only cut down so many angles inside the crease.
Yeah.
You can cut down more the more you come out of the net. A lot of goaltenders don't like coming out of the net, and for good reason. We've seen goaltenders get burned coming out of the net. We've seen them get beat trying to play pucks behind the net. So it's nice to see a goaltender who's disciplined enough to stay in the crease, but smart enough to know when to come out and try to play the puck and pressure shooters. I saw him make saves that I still to this day refuse to actually believe they happened.
He made some good ones, but like by burn, do you mean like ice burn? Because comes out of his net, he might get burned. Like he might slide in the ice.
Well, everyone knows that,
like
outside
a phrase,
the crease is lava.
Lava, so
Crease
he's
is
staying in
fine.
the crease. Well,
Yeah.
Lundqvist thinks of it that way.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the empty net here. No more goaltender talk. It's time for you talk. Let's talk about the empty net. We'll be back with that now. Welcome to the empty net. Welcome to the empty net, our favorite portion of every show, the portion of the show where we get to talk to you. We hate speaking to each other, so we love being able to talk to you folks outside of this room, right? Don't you agree? He's got to not only look at me, but he's got to look at this. It's a bobblehead version of me. And we didn't have the budget for a bobblehead Lucas,
No.
so he just got Mini Hank. He gets to be Mini Hank. But now we get to talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Roush reached out to us. He does play-by-play for the Florida Eels, and this young man is absolutely incredible. Last year at the Florida Showcase, I got a chance to talk to Frank Scarpacci about this guy and about the work he does for his team. Social media updates all week long. Go follow the Florida Eels. Go follow Nick Roush, R-O-E-S-C-H, and check out what this young man's doing. Doing a great job. How about also the Florida Junior Blades reaching out to us, Lucas? Throw that one at you. He didn't expect it. It's not in the list of empty net conversations I was going to have. Florida Junior Blades reaching out to us, tagging us in Instagram posts, sending us videos, and also giving us an idea for goals where is the goal better or is the celly better? We'll have to start looking at that. If you have a pretty good celly that you had at some point this season, let us know. We'd love to check it out and see what you got going for us. Then let's move on to the Instagram messages portion. Ryan Gambro, the Hitman Premier, reached out. Wanted to see if we could make it out to one of his games this past week. We couldn't make that one, but Ryan, we want to get out to a Hitman Premier game because Hitman hockey is great hockey. And I'll tell you what, this Premier level is looking real tough this year. Aviators looking good. Hitman Premier looking good. Ryan's got himself a point on the year right now, early in the season. We can't wait to come out there, Ryan. I see you got the flow going and the headshot here on USPHL.com. We're happy to come out. We can't wait. We're doing some Hitman Premier hockey. Lock it in. You want us to come out to you? Let us know. That's how it happens. It's how we end up by you. It's how we end up doing free games of the week. It's how we end up doing any game at any time. We also had an Instagram post here. If you haven't followed the Instagram yet, by the way, at @_Dan_K Show, we had somebody reach out, Lucas, and want us to spell his name or say his name. Is that what it is? He heard our video where we were pronouncing names. Explain to people what I do and what we do before these games.
Yeah, so before every game, we're handed line sheets, and Dan's way of remembering players' names is to sound them out and spell them phonetically. So I hear the way that Dan pronounces it, and then I write them down on my sheet phonetically. And so before the game, you'll see the two of us basically standing in a corner with one person reading names and one person writing them down.
Yeah, and that's basically how we get it done. But producer Lena did a great job with some behind-the-scenes footage, throwing it up on Instagram, and you could see kind of us going through it. Everyone got a good chuckle out of it, even more of a chuckle than the post that's gotten the most likes in Instagram history for us of me trying to figure out how to put my bow tie on. I'm giving up on that one. But let's move on. His name here, Cengizhan. Last name, Ozeuturk. Now, if you're watching right now, you're going to have to let us know if we get it right.
You want to go first?
You go first, because I think he's worse at names than I am, so I'd like to hear him say, or he's going to steal what I said before. I think I mentioned it off air. But go ahead, Lucas. What do you think that is?
I'm going to go with Cengizhan Ozeuturk.
He's going with Cengizhan Ozeuturk. I'm going to go with Cengizhan Ozeuturk. Cengizhan. I think you sound out all of the vowels. I think it's the whole thing. I think the I is there for a reason.
Okay.
I think it could be a Chengizhan, but I don't see the Exante Gu there, so I'm going to say Senzigin.
Unless it's
Senzigin Ozeuturk.
Unless it's Ozeuturk.
It could be. Please let us know,
Please
because now you've stumped us. He wanted us to try to say his name without any help, any pronunciation help. Please let us know if we got it right, because that was a definite tough one. We move on in the Twitter sphere. We hit our 600 followers, and HockeyDad20 reached out and he said, 13 minutes later, you're up to 601. I was like, I know, we can't keep up. We sent them a little chip that said chaos, and also we talked to the Pal Junior Islanders, and we let them know that we're kind of a big deal with the big-time Ron Burgundy joke. So it's been a great week. Think about the growth in this past weekend, Lucas. Over 1,000% growth rate on all of our social media pages. You guys are getting involved. You're being a part of it. And I got a free game of the week coming up on Saturday. What do I got?
Well, you got a free game of the week. You're actually making quite a trip.
I am making quite a trip. I'm going up to Hudson, New Hampshire. That's a good way of Lucas going, maybe he might not know what the matchup was, and he's throwing it back my way. I couldn't remember at first, so we were playing a little game of tennis. But the free game of the week this week on Hockey TV will be up in Hudson, New Hampshire at the Cyclones Arena. Boston Junior Bruins, tied for first place Boston Junior Bruins, taking on the Northern Cyclones in enemy territory. I'm going to be on the call with my man Tommy, who does the broadcasts up there for the Northern Cyclones. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to be taking it in. We're going to see who's going to be our Dan K Show star of the game. We've had a bunch so far. Everett Wardle, this past week's star of the game, along with our man, the goaltender there from the Boston Junior Eagles, my man with no luck of the Irish needed. And we had a great week so far, Lucas. We have to get to our parting words. We have to end the show. We have to do that. And Lucas has never, in the history of this show, had parting words. But we made a little bet there. We said, will somebody let us know what the punishment should be when we reach 600 followers? And our man Kosa Youssef out there with the Minnesota Moose said, Lucas got to give parting words. Let's go, Lucas. Let's hear those parting words.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
That's not good enough. Let me hear it again. What was that?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
So you're not going to give me any parting words?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
So like if I am here this whole time just begging you to give parting words, you got nothing for me?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
So why are you here?
So I don't get fined.
And why am I here?
So I don't get fined.
You wouldn't get fined if I wasn't here. But you know what you would get? You would get the Dan K Show. Well, you wouldn't get it if I wasn't here, but you would if I was, and I am, so I'm here. Dan K Show, Dan K, Lucas Jones. We had so much fun. We got to talk to hundreds of scouts this weekend at the Junior Bruin Shootout. What a time. What a great place. Hearing just kind of what their thoughts are in the NCDC, the 18U, 16U, the EHF Selects, the Premier and Elite. I'll tell you what, folks. This league is making a big-time ripple effect, and the Dan K Show is a big part of it here. Talk to us. We'll talk to you. Let's get those names out there, and let's make this the best year that we've ever had as a league. Dan K, Lucas Jones, look out for me this Saturday at the Northern Cyclones Arena. for the Junior Bruins and Northern Cyclones. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night.
That felt really uncomfortable.
You really phoned that in.
I
You
don't like
really,
that.
you go Marshawn Lynch on me? Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah.
You're lucky I don't just call a pass play on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what happened when they did that?
They hand Baston a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's what they did. Is this the end of the show?
And do you want it to be?
Yeah. All right, Bobble Dan, we're going home.